Go ahead.
We give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Ha, Rakah, Kodash. Double honor to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, spreading the good news of the gospel, teaching this truth throughout the earth, and who rule well. Salutations to the hopeful elect, pushing the word to the four corners of the earth in all sincerity and risking their life to do so.
Khan, shalom to the elect of the nation of Israel, wa abba babal. All right, so we're going to start with this video with RFK Jr. talking about enslaving so-called black kids on a farm, which is slavery. All right, which they caused the children the problem with their witchcraft. All right.
Every black kid is now just standard put on Adderall, SSRIs, benzos, and those kids are going to have a chance to go somewhere and get reparented.
RFK Jr., who is not a doctor, who never went.
So they're talking about putting so-called black children, which that includes Latino and Native American Indian children, which are Israelites, all right, on plantations. All right. I got another one.
And I quote, "We should not be giving black people the same vaccine schedule."
Oh, not that one.
Can you admit today that you said every black kid can get reparented on a wellness farm? Can you admit that you said that?
Can get reparented on a wellness.
Well, let me read exactly what you said. You said every black kid is now just standard, put on Adderall, on SSRIs, benzos, which are known to induce violence, and those kids are going to have a chance to go somewhere and get reparented, to live in a community where there will be no cell phones, no screens. You know, you claimed, in fact, you went on to say, actually the whole transcript was even worse. You said that if you could, you would send, quote, every black kid, again, your words, not mine, to go live on farms and work. Is that your...
I would have to hear that.
So I just played it where he said it himself, but she's requoting what he said, which she's a senator, part of the committee questioning RFK Jr. about these statements, which is talking about slavery. In fact, you go to Revelation 13:9. We'll start there. All right, Revelation 13:9.
Revelation chapter 13, verse 9, it reads, "If any man have an ear, let him hear."
Right.
Verse 10, "He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity."
So that's talking about these Edomites. They're leading the Israelites into captivity, not just now, but before. Right? Transatlantic slave trade. Manifest destiny. Now they're trying to bring us back into a new form of slavery where they want to put an implantable microchip in your hand or in your forehead, which the prophecies of the Bible of you becoming sick from these devices. If you look up Elon Musk, his experiments on the monkeys pertaining to Neuralink, it's exactly what the scriptures say. It says the monkeys were tearing off their skin because it was blistering. All right, even in the head, they were trying to rip it out because they were blistering through the head. All right, because of these devices being put in their body. So that's what's going to happen to the people that accept that implantable microchip, the mark of the beast. You're going to be destroyed with it. All right. And that's their intention, to bring you into accepting that implantable microchip. To bring you into what? A new form of slavery, which that was prophesied. It was prophesied they would try to bring us into a new form of slavery. They put yokes of iron on our neck, right? They made you a slave to debt. And now they want to put an implantable microchip inside your hand or inside your forehead. All right? And that's what he's talking about. You're not going to have no device because they're going to put a device inside your hand or in your forehead to track you. You're not going to have no so-called rights or freedoms to do what you want. All right? You're going to be a slave in their new world order. What you got to remember, their intentions is to depopulate the majority. All right? Go ahead.
He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints.
See, so we have to wait as we're persecuted for Yahweh to send Yahweh Shai. And we're not waiting hopelessly, all right? We're hopeful of our salvation in Yahweh's Son, Yahweh Shai, all right? And we have examples of why we should be hopeful, all right? Go ahead, go back to that Lamentations.
Or Lamentations.
4 and 1. Let me grab this video real quick. All right. Our hope is not in vain. All right. We have a sure word of prophecy, and we have signs in the heavens and in the earth. All right. One of the signs is this truth coming out on many levels. First by the prophets, but you even got these truthers, right, that are telling the truth, and they're being so-called put to death, which I think a lot of these people are being put into bunkers because these are like the scientists of Esau's world. All right, which this guy David Wilcock was he was so-called murdered in Boulder, Colorado. All right, it says April 20th, 2026. Now, I declare the Copyright Act, Section 107, allowing us to use copyright material to edify our people, the Israelites, on the accuracy of the Bible. All right?
Probably one of the most shocking things I ever heard. In the 1960s, there was a black man in Africa who came in with abilities complementary to those of Jesus. He was performing miracles. He was starting to get people to listen to what he had to say, and the cabal tried to kill him. And remember, I was told at the time that if I disclosed this, that I would be killed.
So, first of all, you had Judah, Benjamin, and Levi in West Africa. So this man is an Israelite that is in Africa, or was in Africa. This is why you had the transatlantic slave trade, where they were bringing Israelites, Southern Kingdom, from West Africa to the east coast of America. 350 years later, as prophesied in Revelation 11 and 11, they see us standing upon our feet, starting with Abba Bivens, Elijah, John the Baptist, in Harlem prophesying. All right. Then King Masha and the rest of the prophets of One West. And now you have the apostle elders that rule Great Millstone, which is teaching Israel the truth. All right. Now, he said the cabal, which goes back to the Edomite, starting with the elite, which are small hats. All right. They're counterfeits. They're the bastards that are in the Holy Land, which are counterfeit. They're not the real Jew pertaining to Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, which today Judah would be the so-called American Negro, Benjamin would be the so-called West Indian, and Levi would be the so-called Haitian. All right, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians of North America, Central America, South America, and the Caribbeans are the Israelites that have been exiled out of the land of Israel. All right?
And I ended up putting it in the book anyway.
They don't want black people to know that they have extraterrestrial ancestry. Right. And you were being told that black people didn't serve. Didn't serve in the space program. Right. There were people from all races. Right. Very interesting.
See, they said you don't have a so-called black astronaut or a so-called Native American astronaut or a so-called Mexican astronaut. Why? Because they don't want you to know any truth. And so they lie to you. All right? Acting like they could go out into the universe. They can't. They can't go beyond the ozone layer, which is like a glass, all right? It's like a layer of glass, but once you're outside of that glass, it's nuclear radiation. All right? They have radiation that's on the outside that will burn them up. All right? In fact, let me pull this up real quick. Outside the ozone layer is nuclear radiation. Let's see. So it'd be UVB light radiation, ultraviolet light from the sun. So not nuclear, but light radiation. So they can't go outside the ozone. All right. So I stand corrected. It's not radiation, nuclear radiation, but light radiation. All right. But what happens when you set off a nuclear bomb? They say it's hotter than the sun. So that's what you experience when those nuclear weapons go off. It's like being outside of the ozone layer. You'll be burnt up. That's why they can't touch the sun. They can't touch the moon. They lie to you. All right. Has there ever been a black astronaut? It says 20. Let's see. Which one have went up into space? It says, and they say that a black woman was the first, right? Which we know that they can't go to space. Let's see. Mae Jemison. Which, look at the mockery there. She's in a Star Trek outfit. They're mocking you. So-called Negroes, Latinos, or Native American Indians. See? Mexican astronaut. Look, they say there's a Mexican astronaut, which you've never heard of this man. Right? Jose Hernandez. You never heard of this man. Let's see, a Native American Indian astronaut. It says there's only one so-called Native American astronaut called John Harrington, which there's not even a picture of him. You see? So, just as that video, which this guy, Wilcock, he's a scientist for the government. Which he says right here in this video, there is no so-called Negro, Latino, or Native American Indian astronauts. They mock you by setting up images of so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians getting the same privilege as the so-called white race, but it's not. And it's being evident every day, more and more, that there's what they call so-called white supremacy, which is a lie, a goddamn lie. That's why they need the gun. They can't handle a so-called Negro, Latino, or Native American Indian. They had to bring what they called a buffalo soldier, an Israelite from Africa, to fight the Israelites in America. That's what a buffalo soldier was, because the so-called white people, look at Custer. He could not handle the Native American Indians, and they had Gatling guns. See, they brought their best against the Native American Indians and failed. They've done their best against the so-called Negro and failed. They've done their best against the so-called Mexican and failed. They failed to annihilate us because they cannot. All right? All they could do is deceive you. And part of that is them saying that they went into the space and touched the moon, which they did not. All right? So I'm going to play that back a little bit.
Ancestry. Right. And you were being told that black people didn't serve. Didn't serve in the space program. Right. And there were people from all races. Right. Very interesting. You don't want black people to know that they have extraterrestrial ancestry. Right. And you were being told that black people didn't serve. Didn't serve in the space program. Right.
See? He's saying really black people, so-called black people, which include the so-called Mexican, the so-called Native American Indian, was not allowed to serve in the space programs. You've never heard of this, of a so-called Negro going to the moon. A so-called Native American Indian doing a powwow on the moon. You see, because it's not allowed. First of all, you can't touch the moon. Second of all, they pretty much lock it down from the so-called Negro, Latino, and Native American Indian. Go ahead and read that first verse.
Lamentations chapter 4, verse 1. How is the gold become dim? How is the most fine gold changed?
Which are the Israelites. We're the fine gold. All right? How have we been changed? By the corruption that was put upon us by the so-called white race and these other nations. We just heard RFK Jr. say all so-called black kids are put on a certain kind of drug that makes them violent. You see? And they've done that to all our children. So-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians. That's why it says, woe unto you that go down to Egypt for help. Just like that chip. They're going to tell you that chip is going to help you, but it's going to condemn you. All right? Go ahead.
The stones of the sanctuary are poured out in the top of every street.
Which are the Israelites. All right? We've been scattered all over the world, and we're those stones of Jerusalem that are making the third temple for the Lord, which is our body. All right? We are as a temple for the Lord. And if you don't understand that, you're a reprobate. All right? Which the majority of Israel are reprobates. They don't believe in Yahushua. They believe in a false religion like white Christianity, which doesn't even exist. It's a goddamn lie. Democracy is a goddamn lie. Fiat currency is a goddamn lie. White supremacy is a goddamn lie. They are not superior to us. Look at Jesse Owens. All right? Go ahead.
Lamentations chapter 4, verse 2. The precious sons of Zion, comparable to fine gold, how are they esteemed as earthen pitchers?
We're mortal now. We used to be immortal. This is why it says we were in heaven and we fell to earth. It wasn't literally we were in space and we came down. What it was we were ruling, but we sinned. So we lost our immortality and we went into slavery under all these nations. Now we're at the bottom of the barrel under the so-called white race, the most filthiest fucking heathen that exists. All right, they're the biggest fucking lames on earth. You can't go no more further down than this. All right, so we're at the bottom of the barrel. The American kingdom is scum. All right, because the so-called white race, this is their kingdom. That's why your Nero 47, the president, king of Babylon, is on the Epstein files doing what? And if you looked into it, it says the Mar-a-Lago is more in the Epstein files than Epstein Island. See, so the wicked rule the world, all right? And that filthy fuck is the so-called white race. Okay, go ahead.
The works of the hands of the potter,
which Yahweh built us. And he allowed us to go into slavery. All right? Not to destroy us, but to really have a reason against these heathen. All right? He brought us into this captivity to actually have a reason to destroy the heathen. It tells you that in Zephaniah 3. His desire is to destroy these nations, to bring them to a minimum. And then those small numbers are going to go into slavery under the Israelites. This is the future. This is why they're trying to bring you into a new form of slavery where they're trying to depopulate. Because they're afraid of the future. All right, go ahead.
Lamentations chapter 4, verse 3. Even the sea monsters draw out the breasts. Mm-hmm. They give suck to their young ones. The daughter of my people has become cruel like the ostriches in the wilderness.
Which, what they do is they lay an egg and then forget about it. They'll step on their own eggs. Unaware. Right? That's like cold-blooded activity. That's how Jake is now. That's why they'll take their children to these mad scientists to be put on experimental drugs. Put inside of facilities where they're being tortured. Where they're being, as they say, molested. All right? Because the Israelite has been destroyed because of the Edomite, the so-called white race, and their lies. All right, that's why it says, my people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge. You don't realize that that's your enemy. that you're worshiping in so-called white Christianity, or you're gonna go die for in their military. You got to be a goddamn fool to go be in their military, right? Go ahead.
Lamentations.
Especially
chapter-
right now. I'm talking about right now, when they're about to allow you to be slaughtered. You don't even have a fighting chance right now. If you go over there and you're sent over there, you're gonna die there. You're gonna be part of the land. You're gonna be burnt up. Go ahead.
If I could add, they're
Yeah.
doing that now to people just on the streets in America. You know, if say you officer stops you,
Right.
and this happened many times. You know, they don't come out and tell you.
Where are they putting them? In facilities where they're dying. They're being abused. They say all these underage girls are popping up pregnant. Who's impregnating them?
Yeah.
Who's murdering them? They're missing. Where are they? That's Cain. Am I my brother's keeper?
Yep.
Go ahead.
That's right. Lamentations chapter 4, verse 4. The tongue of the sucking child cleaveth to the roof of his mouth. For thirst the young children or the sons ask bread, and no man breaketh it unto them. Verse 5.
Which they treat us unfairly. All right. They really are they really want to murder us. But they're incapable of completely annihilating us because Yahweh does not change. As in Malachi chapter 3, verse 6. This is why the Israelites, the sons of Jacob, are not consumed. You think the so-called white man all of a sudden grew a conscience for you? No, it's the Lord having mercy on us. Yahweh Ba'asham Yahushai. Because really, Esau putting poison in the food, poison in the air, poison they sell for medicine. All right? They literally, everything they could do to try to murder you, they're doing it. Soon they're going to show their true horns and literally bear the sword and slaughter. They're talking about going door to door. All right? Go ahead.
Lamentations chapter 4, verse 5. They that did feed delicately are desolate in the streets. They that were brought up in scarlet embrace dunghills.
See? Let me grab this real quick. It says, so I pulled it up about the no minorities. Minorities are not allowed in space program. This is what it said. While historical systematic barriers, what are those systematic barriers? Racism. Created challenges for minority representation in space history. It says, let me see here. The first minority astronaut was a so-called black woman, is what they say. But I've never heard of a so-called black astronaut. I've never heard of it my whole entire life. You've only seen so-called white people or Chinese or Russians or even the India people talking about going to space. You've never heard of a so-called African American or a Native American or a so-called Mexican. You see? So you're on what?
Lamentations 4, now going on 6.
Okay. Let me grab that real quick in the NLT real quick. 4 and verse 6. I'll do 5. Let me grab that real quick. It says, 4 and 5, it says, the parched tongues of their little ones stick to the roofs of their mouth in thirst. The sons cry for bread, but no one has any to give them. The people who once ate the richest foods now beg in the streets for anything they can get. You got Jake that will clean sewers, porta potties. They show you in the movie Purge. There's one where the father pretty much sells his life so he could pay off his medical payments, and he sells himself to an elite family so they could murder him. That's what it's talking about. You're not allowed in no fucking space program. You're not making all this money. Look at Mayweather. $1 billion? How the fuck you go broke with $1 billion when $1 million makes money? If you have 10 million just in the bank, you're supposed to be able to live off that wealthily. You're supposed to have wealth. But see, they lie to you. That's why even Kodak Black said it. This ain't my jewelry. That money I was showing you, that's prop money. He says everything belongs to the recording company. It's just put on him to oppress our people that have nothing. We don't have nothing. That's why they're going to try to take your children and put a chip in them. Because you have nothing. You don't even have rights. Those systematic barriers of racism, they never went away. They've only been covered up with smoke covering of them saying, oh, live and let live. Which they're doing that now because they're losing. You see, they're losing. And eventually they're going to get the sword and just come out with it. Where they start slaying people in the street. That's their plan. All right? Because really, they starve you. We did a sit-down a while back, and we were going in on this. You can look it up. When we were in slavery, they didn't feed us. In fact, you took food from the so-called white man's house or from his crop. That was stealing. See? So we had to steal to live when we were in slavery. See? And Jake, now, you have nothing now. You can't get a job right now. You can't do anything for money right now. The jobs are dying. Whose jobs? They tell you the minorities suffer in these financial crunches. Why? Why do the poor people suffer and not the rich? Because the rich are the one doing it. And who's the richest? The so-called white race. That's why the so-called cabal, right? The small hat, tiny tops are stirring up a war over there with Iran. Drawing America into that war. And who are they going to send? Starting with the so-called minorities, which we're not the minority. We're the majority. We have many children. Esau, he has one, maybe two, and they're freaking Fruit Loops. You see? Oh, they be killing their own kids and everything. You see? So how the fuck are they the great people when they don't even produce children? Go ahead.
In Lamentations chapter 4, verse 6, for the punishment of the iniquity of the daughter of my people is greater than the punishment of the sin of Sodom that was overthrown as in a moment, and no hand stayed on her.
See, so pretty much that nuclear destruction is going to be worse than Sodom and Gomorrah that's going to happen to America. And that's why they're going to deceive you into accepting that microchip. Just like they deceived you thinking that you were equal. They gave you civil rights and now they took them away. There's no civil rights. I know personally I had an issue on multiple jobs recently. There is no rights for you so-called Negroes, Latinos, or Native American Indians. Try to sue a place. Try to get some kind of justice in this society. Call a civil rights lawyer. They'll tell you ain't got no right. Mm-hmm. Why? Because Nero 47 right now took away those rights. You don't have the right. They said your civil rights are oppressing the so-called white race. You see? So you're a fool to think that this place is fair to you, or you have a future here, or that you could succeed here. You can't fucking succeed. That's why they give you fiat currency. They showed you that in the movie Sinners. They had all that liquor that they robbed from the mobsters in Chicago and some money. And when they went down to the South, those sharecroppers had wooden nickels. That's what your fiat currency is, wooden nickels. That's why really it don't matter how much money you have. They could put your ass in prison like Bill Cosby. Mm-hmm. Why didn't they put Nero in prison? He was on the Epstein Island. Mm-hmm. Right? They're talking about Bill Cosby dealing with women unfairly. Well, what about these people on the Epstein files? See? Because there's a systematic bias. It's called racism. Mm-hmm. All right? Hold that real quick, Gilcon. Let me grab this video. All right? Mm-hmm. And it shows you. But the thing is, what we have is we have spiritual power. Esau don't have that spiritual power. He has the power of the gun. Mm-hmm. All right? Let me grab the rest of that video. I was playing Wilcock before I forget. Because I wanted to play that part where it talks about them trying to destroy this Jake.
The Black Jesus story was
Right. Very interesting.
Black Jesus story was probably one of the most shocking things I ever heard. It came from my insider Jacob, I call him that in the book, who actually was working for the Rothschilds and still does, and also is a whistleblower who doesn't really do what they want, but continues to work for them because he feels like there's some very
And did you hear the name what he said? Rothschild, Red Shield. That's who pays Trump. That's why when he put out that AI image of himself as so-called white Jesus healing Epstein, and he said this was for the Red Cross, I thought I looked like a doctor. The Red Cross goes back to Rothschild, Red Shield. All right?
These extraterrestrial threats to Earth, and that what they're doing is very necessary to protect us. So the story goes that in the 1960s, there was a black man in Africa who came in with abilities complementary to those of Jesus. And he was performing miracles. He was starting to get people to listen to what he had to say. And the cabal tried to kill him. And, they could shoot him in the head and his skull would just regenerate and the flesh would grow back and he was fine. And
So I want to tell you, this also happened over here amongst the natives. You had Sitting Bull, which eventually he went into the reservation, all right, or Geronimo, which they couldn't kill him. The whole tribe of Reuben. They were fighting the Edomites and they hid in the Everglades. When right here where we live, they had the Wounded Knee, and then they had a battle with Sitting Bull, and eventually they met up with Custer in Montana, and their Indian killer got slaughtered because there is a spiritual power with the Israelite, the so-called Negro, Latino, and Native American Indian. We have spiritual power. We don't have the power of the money. We don't have the power of the gun, all right? We have spiritual power, which is in faith, in believing in Yahweh's Son, Yahweh Shai, which Yahweh's name means He is. So we have the power to live, and His Son's name is Yahweh Shai, which means we have the power to be saved, all right? Esau don't have that. Esau don't have the power of resurrection. He don't have the power of faith. He don't believe in nothing but that gun. All right? And it's going to fail him. It's always failed him. Look at Custer. He believed in that gun too. And it couldn't save him. All right? And look what right here, what we just heard. They used the gun on this man, which was an Israelite in Africa, and it didn't help. It didn't do nothing. They said it shot him, and his spirit came back, and his wound was healed.
So the crazy story that I heard, which, and remember, I was told at the time that if I disclosed this, that I would be killed.
But you got to remember, this man was killed April 20th, which is on Hitler's birthday, 2026, the year of Jacob's trouble and apostasy, in Boulder, Colorado.
Spoke anyway. The story was that this guy, they finally said, okay, we're going to bring you to the United Nations and share your message with the world. Let's get you on this flight. They bring him on this flight, and instead of bringing him to the United Nations, they shot him repeatedly, and then actually had some kind of meat grinder device, and basically like a bandsaw, I guess, and sawed up his body into a whole bunch of pieces, put him in these very like radioactive shielded containers, and then had all these fighter jets dock with the plane and fly his body parts to all corners of the world, where then these containers turned them into ash. And they thought that maybe this would defeat him, like that his body somehow, the tissue was necessary. So if they destroyed all the tissue in all these places across the world, maybe they could defeat him. Well, he then regenerated in their offices and was fully fine, fully intact. But the sad part is that he said, you know, you guys so badly do not want me to be here that I am not going to be able to do any more. You're going to get what you want, but bear in mind that in the future, many others like me will be coming, and when they do, you will not be able to stop us.
Wow.
Talking about the elect. See? The elect that believe in Yahweh's son, Yahweh Shai. They're not going to be able to stop us. It don't fucking matter. They got an army. Technology, it's all going to fail like their fucking gun. It's all going to fail like your fucking health. Right? You don't even have the power to have a healthy king. Our king was healthy. See? He was greater. Our king, King David, was greater than King of Babylon. See? So these Edomites ain't got nothing to be proud of. Nothing. They're failures. And they're a failing race forever. They're going to be made extinct eventually. Forgotten. They're nothing. They're fucking nothing. All right? Go ahead.
Yeah, they're so bad because they have to lie all the time. you know,
Right.
To recompense for their inferiority, their degenerate condition.
Hey, if they're so fucking superior, why are these Iranians giving them a run for their money?
Right.
Which they were weaker than the so-called white race. Now they are strong. They said, are you weak like we? That's a prophecy. See, so all these prophecies that we have are sure. They're going to come to pass, and that's Esau's going into slavery. All these heathen, they're going into slavery under the Israelites. That's a guarantee. You could put your money on that.
Sure word of prophecy.
Yeah, and we know through the history. Look at the history. As it was prophesied, it has been fulfilled. So nothing's going to change. As it's written, it's going to be fulfilled. Esau and these other nations are going into slavery. That's why they got bunkers. They're trying to escape the judgment. Just as it prophesied they would. Revelation 6. Go ahead.
Go on. Lamentations chapter 4, verse 7. Her Nazarites were purer than snow. They were whiter than milk. They were more ruddy in body than rubies. Their polishing was of sapphire.
Talking about the Israelites, a Nazarite was the ones that, like Samson. All right. And ruddy is a brown. All right. Like a brown horse that has a so-called red tint. That's why even the Native American Indians called themselves the red man of the prairie. Not because they're red like the so-called white race, but that they are red like earth color. Okay? Let me show you. Alex Jones. This guy just did a video, right? Because the Southern Poverty Law Center, right? They're coming out about, it's been revealed that they've been funding so-called white supremacy groups to do terrorist acts, which you must know that they are in bed with the federal government of the United States. You can look that up. That's a Google search. I shared it on my platform, just showing that article that it said that these people through the Southern, Southern Poverty Law Firm or Center was being funded by the U.S. government, doing the will of the U.S. government. But as you can see him, right, he's red. He's not white. Behind him is a white wall, and he don't get lost in the white color because he's not white. He's red. Trump. Or in fact, let's get that RFK. RFK is real red. RFK Jr. Search. me see. RFK. You can see his color is red. He is not white. All right? They are red. They're the red devil the Bible speak of. All right? And they're plotting on the Israelite. They're going to try to murder, pretty much extinct us. But they're going to be the one that ends up being extinct, according to biblical prophecy. See, red. He's not white. The background is white. The shirt is white. They are not white. They are red. They are Edom. Edom means red. They're the children of Esau. That's why they like bloody meat. Let's see. Rare steak. I guarantee you RFK Jr. was eating rare steak. Let's see. There you go. Huh? That's because he's the same as his forefather Esau. Aishawa wasted away. All right. Hold on, one more thing. I wanted to get the part where it is RFK Jr. eats rare steak. All right, let's see. I don't say, but it showed in the picture. You know what I mean? That's all we needed was that picture showing you that his thing is rare steak. They even gave him a steak for his birthday. It said, but you can't see it. Which they're gonna hide these things, knowing that they're the devil.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Look, there you go. Why is this image built right here? See? And you can't just do that. In fact, you can't just put people's faces up like that because of laws pertaining to these internet things. They'll kick it off if you say the wrong things or put up the wrong pictures. So this has the ability to be up because they want it up. All right? Which they eat bloody meat. Going back to Esau. Aishawa wasted away. That's why they look red. They're not ruddy like a ruddy horse. See, that's a brown. See that? That's called ruddy. That's brown. It's not red like a so-called white man. Ruddy Native American Indians. Let me pull that up. Ruddy. See, that's ruddy. That skin color, it's like a earth tone, a brown, and it has like a reddish tint, like red rock. It's not red like a so-called white man, but ruddy, like a brown horse. Ruddy, all right? But you got even so-called black men that are ruddy, all right? They have an earth color, like a rich soil color. Mm-hmm. See, they're not like the so-called white man, which is like a red devil. All right. Oh, look, I actually I put this video up earlier with Alex Jones. He was on the Redacted. Mm. Let me see, because they were trying to justify the. What was it? The Southern Poverty Law Center. Let me see. New channel. I'm gonna skip this. Look how red he is in that video. He is red. He's not ruddy. He's red. See? So there's red, like Edom, the so-called white man, which they're not white, they're red. And then you got ruddy, which is a color of brown. All right? So just to make that point, okay, because it was talking about the word ruddy in there.
Yeah.
All right? So it's not talking about them being red like a so-called white man.
Yeah.
All right? Go ahead.
Lamentations.
In fact,
chapter
read
4.
that one more time, that verse.
4? I mean, the last one?
Yeah.
Lamentation, chapter 4, verse 7 reads, Her Nazarites were purer than snow. They were whiter than milk. They were more ruddy in body than rubies. Their polishing was of sapphire.
Which we have confusion of face now. Like me and this brother, we're not even that dark. We're actually supposed to be darker.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that happened was when we were allowed to mix with the heathen, we had their women, our forefathers. So then when they had children with their women, which what's that movie? The one about the reservation?
Oh, Thunderheart?
No, oh, that's a good one. Thunderheart. Because you had that Val Kilmer, which represented a Native American Indian.
Mm-hmm.
But he looked like a so-called white man. So much so that he didn't even know he was an actual Indian in the movie. He had to come back to realization of it. Which they showed his father as a drunk in that movie. Mm-hmm. See? Why? Because he was oppressed. Why are the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians oppressed? Because the so-called white race. The wicked that rule the world. Manifest destiny. Transatlantic slave trade. 70 AD. All right, look at Jacob's trouble. Great tribulation. Who are they going to oppress? The so-called Negro, Latino, and Native American Indian. See, and in the NLT it says, in that verse, you're in 7, right?
Verse 8 now, but...
Verse 7? All right, let me get that 7. It says, Our princes once glowed with health, meaning being dark, all right? We were a lot bigger because we were getting better food, more oxygen. You see? They said, I was going in on the estrogen. A lot of times the body produces estrogen because of the lack of oxygen. You can look that up. That's why a lot of men in America are swollen. Because there's no nutrients in the food. We don't have no good food. It's all processed.
That's right.
You know? Go ahead.
Not only that, but the stuff that they put in the foods, you know, like GMOs and these packaged stuff they're putting
and plastics
out.
And shit.
You know, before they used to give us good food, but in this country, you're not going to get good nutritional food. You're going to get poisons. You know.
Yeah. Oh, and then the behavior, right? They were talking about so-called Negro children being violent because of the Adderall. Why does Jake wear sneakers? You know why they wear sneakers? You know where sneakers came from? The slave master gave you sneakers so you could creep onto another plantation and steal. So who taught us to steal? Who taught us to murder our brother? Who taught us to lie and cheat and actually create a system that rewards that behavior? It's the wicked. Why don't we have land that we pass down to each other through inheritance? Why don't we have that? Why don't we have the knowledge of just life? When you go to school, they don't teach you how to cook an egg. They don't teach you how to boil water, how to find water, how to purify water, how to hunt, how to fish. They don't even teach you home economics no more in school. See, so this is why we've been degraded, is because we're under the base man. Edom, the so-called white man, is the bottom, man. They're the scum.
Mm-hmm.
And we're under them.
Right.
See? So that's what the Lord is saying. What happened to my people? These were the greatest people in the world. And now we're under the shit.
Mm-hmm.
We're in the shit.
And that's by Edomite's design, because
Mm-hmm.
he's an oppressor.
Yeah.
You know.
And the Lord put us under him
Mm-hmm.
for a purpose. Yeah, we sinned, but our sin is forgiven through Yahweh Shai, which was done 2,000 years ago. We're here now because the Lord's going to punish the Edomite. That's what you got to understand. He's no longer justified for what he's doing. We're repenting. He should have let us go. But instead, he wants to murder us. He stole our land. Not America. Fuck America. We're talking about the Holy Land. Right? What they say about Gaza, that's supposed to be the land of Judah. That's supposed to be the so-called American Negro, the tribe of Judah's land.
Mm-hmm.
Who's in that land? Who's talking about building casinos in that land? Not an American Negro. Because Jay-Z and Beyonce, them sellout bitches, try to get a casino in New York and they got denied. Who denied them? The so-called white race. But Trump, Nero 47, he's had many casinos that he ran into the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, you can.
Lamentations chapter 4, verse 8. Their visage is blacker than a coal. They are not known in the streets. Their skin cleaveth to their bones. It is withered. It is become like a stick.
Right. So we're oppressed, like it said. That word where it says black, it says is blacker than in the NLT it says soup. But the word there is hasak, and it says to grow dim, meaning they're negative. That's why all you got is hip-hop music, and it talks about killing each other, robbing each other, selling drugs, adultery. The women are whores, right? You can't find a fucking good woman anymore. It's rare. The Lord's going to have women preserved of the nation of Israel for salvation, but the majority of these Jake women are trash. So-called Negro, Latino, and Native American Indian women, they're trash. Why? Because they've been destroyed. See? And it says right there, to be dim, to grow dim. That's what that word means. Not know that they're Israelites. That's why they dye their hair blonde. Wear contacts to try to make their eyes green. Lighten their skin. Wear these fake ass nails and fake ass eyelashes. Fake wigs.
Yeah.
Right? They don't know how to clean themselves because why? They don't have the knowledge that is supposed to be given to them. Our people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge. Hosea 4:6. We once were the greatest people in the world. Look at the Native American Indian. They were a great people. But what happened? The so-called white man came into the land. And what happened? They taught him Christianity, do as a white man, wear the suit of a so-called white man. All right? They did that not just to the Native American Indian, but to the so-called Negro and also to the so-called Mexican. They got a show on Pancho Villa. And that was the so-called white man separating the Mexicans, which they knew they were so-called natives, indigenous people. But you had them cut in half. One group was for the so-called white man, and one group was trying to stay in their original way. And there was, it's called a Mexican Revolution. And they were fighting the so-called white race that was trying to oppress them. You see? But what happened? They got conquered. Why were they conquered? Because of the prophecies. It was prophesied so that the Lord could bring us into this captivity, and then he would be justified in destroying these heathen that are supposed to let us go. They're supposed to be serving us right now. We're already past due. All right?
Come on.
Go ahead.
Lamentations chapter 4, verse 9. They that be slain with the sword are better than they that be slain with hunger.
Look, and it says, in that word black, it says to hide, to conceal. Right? Where are the Israelites? Because those counterfeits over there are not the Israelites. They're the Edomites that were blessed with the sword. That's evident. Where are the real Jews? Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. Where are the 12 tribes of Israel? See? And that's why they're panicking right now, because the prophets are telling the truth, and the Edomite can't cover himself with his lies no more. So all he could do is show the sword. And that's what he's doing with war. That's called a depopulation mechanism. Because he's trying to murder his brother, which we've been separated since the womb, all right? 2 different manner of nations. But we go back to Jacob, and the so-called white race go back to Esau, which were at one time were twin brothers, of sons of Isaac. And they were trying to murder us in the womb. And they're still doing it today. They're trying to murder us now. You just had that Jake Woman reporter asking Nero 47 about how long is this war going to go. And he says, don't you remember Vietnam? You're a freaking disgrace. Why did he do that? Because she was a so-called black woman questioning him when he's a so-called white man in power. See? Go ahead.
And they can't win any wars.
No.
Every war they've been in, they lost.
Since Vietnam.
Vietnam.
Which Vietnam was set up to take you out of America so you can learn the truth. What was happening in 1969 was Abba Bivens, which was Elijah promised to the Israelites. See, so they started a war to try to hide the truth. They're doing a war right now trying to hide the truth. They're doing all kinds of shit. That's why, we're going to reveal the so-called UFOs. There's little gray men or reptilians, some bullshit they lie about. Right? That's all they could do is lie, but it's coming out, the truth. That's why they're so-called murdering these scientists that we're talking about, angelic black beings, so-called, in the heavens. You see? It's all coming unraveled. Their lies are coming unraveled. Oh, we better send the younger generation to plantations. No cell phones. Why don't they want them to have cell phones? Because we're teaching the truth on the phone. Go ahead.
They can't handle the truth.
They can't handle the truth. Yeah, they're right. They're condemned. And they don't like it. Too fucking bad. You're condemned, Esau. And there ain't fucking nothing you could do about it. Just like that man, that Israelite in Africa, you're going to try to murder us, and you're going to be able to kill some of us, but not all of us. Some of us are going to die to fulfill prophecy, but even then, we're still going to have eternal life. Because Yahweh Shai, he's going to raise us from the dead. Which it tells you when it says they come back with him. They're already, once you die, you go right to the Lord. You see? You're not a ghost walking around on earth. That's not real. Once you die, pertaining to the time the Lord wants you to come back, you go back to him. Him who made you. It tells you that in Job. Everybody does. The wicked, when they die, they go back to the Lord. Everybody, the master and the slave. Mm-hmm. See? So they can't alter nothing. They're not in control, really. Mm-hmm. They're just doing what the Lord said the wicked would be doing. Go ahead.
Lamentations chapter 4, verse 9. For thee, reading on, it says, for these pine away, stricken through for want of the fruits of the field.
Right. Which we don't even get that. We get GMO lab-grown food. Mm-hmm. See? And we don't have no truth given to us but by the prophets. They tell you in the school, we went to the moon. You didn't go to the fucking moon. All right? They tell you that they did all these things. And they really didn't do them. Their whole freaking education system is a goddamn lie. Their correctional facilities are a goddamn lie. Their whole institution is a goddamn lie. They said, I heard he used to be called the Secretary of Defense, but they changed it to Department of War.
Right.
Right? And they say, hey, we protect the world. That's what he said in a press conference, which is a goddamn lie. They are the terrorists of the world.
That's right.
Go ahead.
Lamentation chapter 4, verse 10. The hands of the pitiful woman have sodden their own children.
Which this has happened in the past during the time of Babylon. It's also happened in the time of 70 AD, all right, when the Roman Edomites oppressed us. And it's going to happen again in this time of great tribulation when they stop the food from going to the store. Jake don't know how to find water. Jake don't know how to hunt. Jake don't know how to fish for the most part. They know how to go to a job and then go to the grocery store. That's it, because that's all they taught us. But we were supposed to be the men of wisdom. Remember our forefather King Solomon, Queen Sheba, a Cushite, all right, a whore of Cush, brought all this wealth to King Solomon to ask him about his wisdom. Yahushua was known as a man of wisdom. Abraham, our forefather Abraham, it said the Hamites knew him as a god. He was wise. See? But how did our people become so fucked up? Because of the oppressor. See? Go ahead.
Lamentations chapter 4, going on verse 10. They were their meat in the destruction of the daughter of my people.
Right? So now go down to 21. So we made the point that, they destroyed our people with the lack of knowledge.
Right. Yep. And they're still doing it today.
Right, because they're going to try to murder the prophets. Who's trying to give our people knowledge? That's them trying to take the knowledge away from our people. Why are our people hidden? Right? Who has raised their head up against the hidden ones? Esau. He's that serpent. He's that devil, the accuser of our brethren. Go ahead.
Lamentation chapter 4, verse 21. Rejoice and be glad, O daughter of Edom, that dwellest in the land of Uz.
Right, which Uz goes back to Babylon. Edom wasn't in the kingdom of Babylon. He fought for it against us. But this is talking about Babylon the Great, which is the kingdom of Edom, America. Go ahead.
The cup also shall pass through unto thee. Thou shalt be drunken and shalt make thyself naked.
What are they drunk on? Pride, Obadiah. They're drunk on their pride. They don't think they could be defeated. I was watching this documentary on the natives that were fighting in this American land against the cavalry, which it says Gad shall be overcome by a troop, but they shall overcome in the end. But so that's a prophecy still to come. But they said that when the Gadites conquered Custer, they couldn't believe it. They said, "Oh, Custer." They were blaming Custer. They were blaming their general Bent because he was so afraid of the war that was happening right there in Montana. He stood on the outside with a couple other generals, and they didn't go in there to help Custer. So they were trying to blame him. But they said they never gave him credit, the Native American Indians, that they were able to fight these men that had superior firepower. You see? So that they'll never give you the credit of being better. Esau will never, ever give you the credit of being better, which we are better, even in our lowest state. In our lowest estate, right? We're at the bottom, under the shit. Esau being the shit, right? Even Trump said that about America in his last presidency, the Narrow 47. He said, this is a shithole. And we're in the bottom of it. And we're still fucking better than you fucking heathen. They can't do what Mike Tyson did. They can't do what Michael Jordan did. They can't do what Michael Jackson did. They can't do what the lowest Israelite does. They can't do it. They can't even suffer like us. We suffer better than the heathen. As they say, we get lemons, we make lemonade. You see? Esau can't do that. That's why they'll put a thing in their head and blow their brains out. They can't suffer like us. We're better than you fucking devils. It don't matter how you cut the pie. Go ahead.
Yeah, they're cursed.
Yeah, they're condemned people.
Lamentation chapter 4, verse 22. The punishment of thy iniquity is accomplished, O daughter of Zion.
See, our punishment for iniquity it's accomplished. Yahweh Shai paid for the wage of our sin. Yes, we're in sinful flesh, we're mortal, but it's fulfilled. We're repenting now. You should have let us go. You should have put us back in that land. But instead, you want to murder us, to hide us, just as your forefather Cain did to Abel. Go ahead.
Con. Says, O daughter of Zion, he will no more carry thee away into captivity.
What is Esau planning on doing? Putting our children on a plantation? Putting implantable microchips in our people? You're not going to succeed. This is what you intend to do. And you're going to, mark the 2/3, but you ain't going to get the elect. You're condemned. You're a condemned race. That's why America's coming to an end. All these places shutting down. I just heard of another, I don't remember the name of the institution, the store or whatever, but they said like it was going to put like 300,000 people, 300,000 out of work. And that affects more than 300,000 because those 300,000, they buy groceries, they buy gas. So all that money's coming out of the whole system. It's failing. That's because they're going to try to take it digital, and that's going to fail. Because the elect will not be deceived. You can't win, fuckers. Go ahead.
Con. He will no more carry thee away into captivity. He will visit thy iniquity, O daughter of Edom. He will discover thy sins.
And they know it. They've seen men prophesying throughout time. Even Yahweh Shai was prophesying it. When he was on the earth, you had men all the way up to now telling you Edomites, you're not gonna rule forever. And now we're at the end of your age. We're closer than ever before. And it says in Revelation 12:12, therefore the devil come down with great wrath, knowing that they have but a short time. How do you know you have but a short time? Look at all the truth coming out. You're making yourself naked. Which even Alex Jones in that video with Redacted, he said that. He said this information about the Southern Poverty Law Center is devastating because it goes back to the U.S. federal government. Mm-hmm. See? So they're being revealed as the devil, and pretty much they can't take it much longer. You see? Now go to Habakkuk 2.
Habakkuk 2.
Let me see. I believe that's the one. Yeah, Habakkuk 2. Which Habakkuk is prophesying of Babylon, ancient Babylon, but he's also prophesying of this Babylon, Babylon the Great. Let me Google that real quick so I can show, because sometimes our people will believe Google more than the prophet. Mm-hmm. It says, let me get it. Habakkuk chapter 2 is future prophecy of Babylon the Great. It says Habakkuk 2 is widely interpreted as a prophecy regarding the inevitable judgment of the Babylonian Empire. See, it says oppressive powers, quote, Babylon the Great at a future appointed time. See, Babylon the Great at a future appointed time. Let's see if you can see that. Babylon the Great, right there, at a future appointed time. All right? So this ain't talking about ancient Babylon, though Habakkuk was prophesying in chapter 1 of Babylon, but in this chapter 2, he's prophesying of a future event, Babylon the Great. This is why Donald Trump, Nero 47, is known as the king of Babylon. All right, go ahead.
Habakkuk 2 verse 1, I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower, and I will watch to see what he will say unto me, and what I shall answer when I am reproved.
Go ahead.
Verse 2, and the Lord Yahweh answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it.
So we have this prophecy, and he wrote it down so we could have it in this generation, and we could understand what's going to happen in the future. See? And that word run means to be able to learn it and teach it. Let me pull that up. That word there is rawas. Let's see. It says to run. It says, let's see. It says to break down, divide. Meaning to teach it, to learn it, and to teach it. Break down, divide. See? So we were given this prophecy so that we could break down and divide these scriptures correctly. It says that in the scripture. Study to show thyself approved. Now let me just make sure that that letter was, let me see it. So that's Tazah. So that'd be Ra Wa Tazah. Ra pertains to the head. Wa means to add. Tazah to the way. See? So that we could teach our people the truth, the way. Yahweh Shai. That's why we have the prophecies. What are the prophecies speaking of? Yahweh Shai. These are the signs of Yahweh Shai coming back. So that word there is not Ra Wash, it's Ra Wa Tazah. All right? Go ahead.
Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 3, for the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end of it shall speak and not lie.
Right, so at the end it shall speak, which right now we're in the end. All right? These prophecies are right now speaking about the end times. We're living in the end. Now the end began 2,000 years ago with the sacrifice of Yahweh Shai and the resurrection when he made his disciples apostles. All right? Now we're at the appointed time of the very end. That's why you're hearing about the implantable microchip and also nuclear war. They didn't have nuclear missiles 2,000 years ago. So even though it began 2,000 years ago with the Messiah, now we're at the very end when Yahweh Shai will return. But it's only been like 2 days for him. Remember, a day with the Lord is 1,000 years. So it's only been like 2 days. But to us, it's been 2,000 years here on earth. See, and we're at the very end of the so-called white man's kingdom, which when Yahweh Shai was crucified, he was in what? The first leg of the Roman Empire. Now we're in the second leg of the Roman Empire. You see? And you know who Alex Jones was blaming for that Southern Poverty Law Center? That information coming out was they were blaming NATO. Well, who's the whore that rides that beast? America. So everything goes back to this whore. That's why this place is going to get the great judgment. Mm-hmm. All right? Go ahead.
Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry.
Right. It feels like it's not going to happen, but really, if you're observing every day, it's happening every day. We're getting closer and closer and closer, right? A brother just shared this video about the digital currency coming out. They said you're going to have to get it if you want to buy food, right? Because they're going to make it where you can't buy or sell unless you have that digital currency, which will be on a digital wallet. Let me see. This brother had shared this video. Let me see. Yeah, it might be my other channel. It's surely happening in our time. It's happening right now in our time. It's not going to be another generation. It's our time. Let me see. Oh, yeah, right here. Let me see. This is the brother's channel. All right. So, Copyright Act, Section 107. I'm using this copyright material for edification to my people, the Israelites. All right. About the accuracy of biblical prophecy. Which that's the Copyright Act right there on the screen.
A third of the fertilizers is shipped through the Strait of Hormuz. Now, that is also at risk. And it matters particularly in the southern hemisphere, where the planting and therefore the fertilizers is badly needed now. Because if the price of food increases significantly, it is not going to just be the price of food, it is going to be inflation expectations. Because we know that people are particularly attentive to two things: the price of food, processed and unprocessed, and the price of gas at the petrol station.
So in Zimbabwe, when they had a collapse in their currency, you had to have a whole wheelbarrow of money to go buy a gallon of milk, some eggs, and some bread. They're not going to do that. They're going to make it where you have to have an implantable microchip. They're going to collapse the dollar, devalue the dollar. That's what they're doing with their war. And then they're going to make it say, they're going to say you got to go digital, whether it's through the phone first, but it's going to end with you having to have an implantable microchip in your hand or in your forehead, which the elect will not be deceived. We rather die than accept that device because it's an abomination for us. All right?
Disruption persists long enough, the adjustment shifts from prices, which we are putting up with now, to possibly rationing with very different economic consequences.
See? And that's biblical. It says in Revelation 6, this devil, the so-called white man, is going to cause famine, and he's going to cause the price of bread to be the wage of a one day. Right? You make $100, $200 a day. Some people $300. You're going to have to use that whole day's pay to buy bread. Bread, which is nothing. You see? Go ahead.
Khan. Habakkuk 2. Habakkuk 2, verse 4. Behold, his soul, which is lifted up, is not upright in him, but the just shall live by his faith.
See? So the wicked that's doing all these things, causing famine, bringing death and destruction, they are not right in their mind. They're wicked. That's why they're going to ration the food to starve people out. To do what? To do what they want, which is to bring you to this device. But also you got to remember depopulation. All right? That's part of what they did to the Israelites when they conquered us was, one, the siege of Jerusalem. They built a wall around it to starve us out. And what happened? The Israelites that were in there were some that ate their children. What's going to happen now? This time, they're going to eat their children. We read about it in, Lamentations 4. That's going to happen in this generation when there's no more Walmart, there's no more King Soopers, there's no more Safeway, there's no more Sam's Club or Costco. Why? Because they're going to ration the food. You go into these stores, even now, and it's still full of bread, though you got empty shelves and shortages. You still have a lot of food compared to what's about to happen. There's about to be nothing. And that's why it says in 2 Ezra 15, they're going to murder the neighbor to get the bread.
Yeah.
You see? So it's going to get real bad out here. All right, but it's going to be good for us because this means we're going home. This place is shutting down. This is the appointed time. This is the end. So really, I just got chills saying that because I'm excited.
Yeah.
You know, the prophets that are really believing in this word, you should be excited, not feeling down, but rejoice in the Lord forevermore because, hey, his word is true. We have a sure word of prophecy, and you would do well if you took heed as an Israelite. All right? Go ahead.
Con.
Oh, and at one point it said, but the just shall live by his faith. We believe in Yahweh's power to take care of us. We believe in him sending his son Yahweh Shai to save us. Once again, we have a sure word of prophecy. All right? Which, when you go into the word, let me grab this real quick, Yoko.
Mm-hmm.
John 1, verse 1, it says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with Yahweh, and the Word was a power, a God. Yahweh Shai was immortal, but he came to the earth as a mortal to lay his life down as a sacrifice to pay for the wage of our sin, the Israelites. All right? Now he went back to the Father, but he sits at the right hand of the Father in heaven, waiting to come back as a God, not as a man. It says the same was in the beginning with the Elohim. Now this word, when you go into the interlinear, in the Greek there, it says logos, right? Which what it gives you is a conception and an idea. The idea was Yahweh's, and it was for the Israelites to be saved in the faith of Yahweh Shai. Yahweh Shai is our Savior. That's the idea of Yahweh. That's the word. That's what's in these logos, which were part of that logo being the Elohim back then and now the hopeful elect, which we speak of the salvation for the Israelites from the word of Yahweh, which speaks of Yahweh Shai. See? So that's what it means that the just shall live by faith. We're justified by Yahweh's Son, Yahweh Shai. And we live in that faith, meaning we believe it. I told Copilot to give me an example of this. And it says, say you get hungry, so you have a necessity, which we sinned. We've been exiled out of our land. That's the necessity. You call, say, a Pizza Hut. I'm hungry, I want a pizza. So we call upon the Lord, right? We need salvation. It's his idea. Now, the pizza is being made. You can't see it. It's in a different dimension. It's not in your house they're making it. It's in a different location. So Yahweh Shai is in heaven. We can't see him. But you don't panic when you're waiting for your pizza. You know it's coming. Right? You're not sitting at the window like, where's my pizza? You know it's coming. In fact, it says you prepare for it. You get some plates. You get your drink. You set up the table. You prepare a movie or whatever you're going to do. Or you invite your woman or your friend, whatever, the company you're going to eat with, right? And that's the same with this truth. You live in the faith that Yahweh is going to send Yahweh Shai, just as you would live in the same faith that your pizza's coming. You don't panic. You don't say, get all fucked up. No, you wait for it patiently. And you prepare. You get your expectation, your hope, in alignment with that faith. The faith is you believe the pizza's coming. You believe Yahweh Shai is coming. But you align your life in the expectation of that salvation. Purifying yourself. Preparing yourself to meet your maker. All right? Go ahead.
Con. Habakkuk 2, verse 5. Yea, also because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell.
Which is Esau, right? So it said he transgresseth by wine, the lies, like that Christianity.
Yep.
That's a goddamn lie, right? This image right here is blasphemy. Let me pull it up. Caesar Borgia. That's a goddamn lie. That's the lie. That's the wine that he transgresseth by. The dollar, it's a fiat currency. It's not even real money. There's no value in it. Right? And then it says what? That he, what did it say? Oh, it says he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home. Look what he's doing in Iran. He says Iran has no right to tax the ships going through, but he's talking about taxing the ships that go through.
Yeah.
You see, that's a fucking hypocrite. That's how proud these Edomites are. You see? That they could freaking annihilate generations of children. And it's okay. Right? That's what they say. That's how proud they are. Or they could go in your home and break up your family. Though your paperwork be legit. How many of these, Jake, that they're putting in these Ice Cube and Ice T facilities, they said a lot of them were legit. They had paperwork. Oh, what about them talking about arresting and deporting American citizens? When you have the so-called white right as an American citizen to, they say, to live free. This is supposed to be the land of the free, I thought. See, that's the pride of this devil. Taking away civil rights, that's the pride of this devil. Right? Oh, his image set himself up as the Messiah, though he set up the false image, right? He set himself up in this image, which is a false image, but it's blasphemy. And there's no forgiveness for that. So the Edomites are going to be made extinct. That's their future. But the Israelite, the greatest people that are oppressed now, we're receiving light because we're going to receive salvation and we're going to rule the world in righteousness. We're the just that shall live by faith. Go ahead.
Con. Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 5, reading on, and is as death and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations.
So he's death. What does the so-called white man bring? Death. He's not building farms in these lands, right? He's not clearing way for farmland. He's causing death. He's bringing famine, death, and destruction. You see? He is like death. That's why when you take that implantable microchip, you're going to get death. Go ahead.
And he's doing it now with the war. Who, a lot of people are dying, you know.
Yeah, and it says, and cannot be satisfied. See, it doesn't matter. He has the whole world using his fiat dollar as petrol money, and he's still not satisfied. Really, the U.S. dollar is the perfect money system. They control the world using that dollar, and they can make transactions, boom, perfect, without missing a beat. The whole world runs on that U.S. dollar. But that's not enough for this devil. He's not satisfied. He wants to put a chip inside you so he can control the way you think.
And heapeth unto him all people.
Right? Which is the nations. All right? He has all these nations, whether it's in the European Union, NATO, right? UN, right? But he's bringing the world into a confederation under the New World Order, where they're pretty much saying you got to get down or die. See? So Yahweh is going to send Yahweh Shai to save us from this devil, which is death. The so-called white man is death. That's why even Nero, he put up a video. Let me see if I can find it. Trump puts an image up of himself as death. Let me see. It was back in the day. I remember he did that. He did like an image of himself as death. Let me see. It was back in his first, because they had that C-19 thing going on. Let me see. AI. As death. And see, these things come and go, but we remember them because we did sit-downs on them. me see. AI video of Trump as death. Oh, why you just had that one where he made himself the king. Remember, he was dropping bombs. Look, all right here. Here it is. Here comes the Reaper, and he's coming from Washington, D.C. Let me see. Oh, there it is. Perfect. Right there. There it is. It was his post. You see, that's his post right there. That says Donald Trump posted it. And you can't do that, like set up a Donald Trump page. That's an official page. And what is he? He's death. That's Habakkuk 2 right there. Mm-hmm. You see, that's Habakkuk 2. Hey, him being the image of Caesar Borgia, that's death. That's not life. Oh, one more. Let me get that one right here. This one is what I was talking about, where they put him as a king in a fighter jet, and he was dropping shit on the U.S. citizens. He's as death. The so-called white race is as death. All right? Go ahead, Yoko.
Habakkuk 2, verse 6, shall not all these take up a parable against him?
Right, which that's what we're doing. A parable, we're telling them the truth by the word, which it says in Isaiah 14, we shall pick up this proverb against the king of Babylon. Go ahead.
And a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his.
Right, which is not his. They murder and steal and lie. Mm-hmm. You see, how long is this going to be? Mm-hmm. Good.
How long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay.
Which when you go into that word clay, let me pull it up. It says with thick clay, it's a bot tight. Let me see. A ba ta yat a bot tat but tayat. But it means debt, heavy debt. You see that right there? Heavy debt. Who has laden themselves with heavy debt? All right. Yeah, I believe it's Abayat. Abayat. Go ahead.
Habakkuk 2, verse 7, shall they not rise up suddenly that shall bite thee, and awake that shall vex thee, and thou shalt be for booties unto them.
Mm-hmm. But you're going to have these other nations go against Edom. Even though they're together, they're confederate, the Lord controls the hearts of the kings. He controls men. He's going to make these heathen go against Esau, which is Obadiah. This is the vision of Obadiah, which he had a vision. It says in verse 1, the vision of Obadiah, thus saith Yahweh's power concerning Edom. All right, I'm going to jump down. It says in verse 7, all the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee, and there is none understanding in him. Which it says in Daniel 12, the wicked shall not understand. He don't understand because his heart is being hardened. Mm-hmm. Just like Pharaoh in Egypt, which is a spiritual Egypt. So Nero 47, Donald Trump, is like a Pharaoh of spiritual Egypt. All right? Go ahead.
Habakkuk 2, verse 8, because thou hast spoiled many nations, all the remnant of the people shall spoil thee because of men's blood and for the violence of the land of the city and of all that dwell therein.
Which that's what the Iranians are saying. Mm-hmm. Iranians say that the U.S. government has to pay for the blood of their supreme leader. But this was a news thing. It says, following the reported killing of former supreme leader Ali Khamenei in March 2026, Iran's new leadership under, I can't even say the name, is demanding blood money. They're right there. For what? The spilt blood. You've been as death on earth. Now all these other nations, which were your allies, are now moving against you.
Right.
What they say, China gave nuclear weapons to Iran. And what was the one you said?
It was Russia that gave that.
Oh,
to
Russia.
them. Yeah, they gave them these Satan II nuclear missiles, 1,000 of them.
And
that's what's been reported.
Yeah, that's what's being reported. Why? Because these other nations want blood now. They're tired of these devils. All right? Go ahead.
And this guy, he's so irrational. You know, he's like,
He's a madman.
a psychopath. You know, all he wants to do is destroy and kill. You know,
And that's the American psyche. America, how have they become a great nation? By murder, by robbery, by lying. All right? How did they get this land? They murdered.
right.
They robbed the people, the Israelites that were here. Look at Venezuela. See, this is their M.O.
Right.
They're not the holy people. They're the wicked. And they're blessed with the sword to murder, rob, and lie about it. They don't tell you the truth.
Yeah. He's got some crazy people around him, and you know.
Which they're Edomites, you know? And they're doing exactly what the Lord said the wicked would be doing. And it says in 2 Ezra 16, they'll be like madmen, sparing none. That's why Yahushua has to save us and shorten the days for the elect's sake, or no flesh will be saved. You see?
Habakkuk 2, verse 9. Woe to him that coveteth an evil covetousness to his house, that he may set his nest on high, that he may be delivered from the power of evil.
Which they're trying to alter the prophecies. That's why they're trying to get all these nations confederate with them. They're building bunkers, right? Because they're trying to go against the prophecy of Yahushua coming back to take them down. So that's why they put a space force. Why do they have a space force? When I thought there was a howl under the ground. You see, why are they not trying to defend against the demons coming out of the ground? Because that's not real. Christianity is a goddamn lie. Catholic religion is a goddamn lie. All right? All these religions, Islam is a goddamn lie. Buddhism is all a goddamn lie. Hinduism is a goddamn lie. Patriotism is a goddamn lie. But they put a space force because the judgment is coming from heaven. Yahushua is coming from Yahweh with the host of heaven to fight the devil, the so-called white man's government, and his angels. They're military. But you have a space force. All right? There's a reason you have a space force. Because your judgment is coming from heaven. Go ahead.
Habakkuk 2, verse 10. Thou hast consulted shame to thy house by cutting off many people, and hast sinned against thy soul.
That's clear. Go ahead.
Verse 11. For the stone shall cry out of the wall, and the beam out of the timber shall answer it.
Which the prophets, all right, which we represent the wall of Jerusalem, which Yahweh, Ba'asham, Yahushai it says he walks on the praise of the Israelites. And the wall of Jerusalem was to separate the Israelites from the other nations. You see? That's why in Revelation, what is it? 13, no. Let me see. Let me see. No, it's in Revelation. Revelation 11:1. And there was given me a reed like a rod, which is this truth. And the angel stood, saying, Rise and measure the temple of Yahweh, Ba'asham Yahushai, and the altar, and them that worship therein. But the court which is without the temple, leave out, and measure it not. For it is given unto the Gentiles, the heathens, and the holy city shall they tread under foot 42 months, which is now. They're at their end. We're at the end. It's an appointed time. And though it feels like it's not going to happen, it's happening right now in our eye, before our eyes, in our lifetime. And I will give power unto my 2 witnesses, southern kingdom and northern kingdom, that they shall prophesy 1,260 days clothed in sackcloth. And that's why they're upset, because we're telling the truth. We're the Israelites. You try to conceal who we are. You try to destroy us for the lack of knowledge. You poison us. You do all this shit to us. You oppress us, but you still can't stop us. You can't annihilate us. And even when you try to destroy us with nuclear missile, Yahushua is going to save us. And your kingdom is going to become a lake of fire. And then after 1,000 years of slavery, which will be worse than what you've done unto us, because it's payback, all right, you're going to be made extinct, made to be forgotten. All right? So we're in that time where the nations are being divided and the Israelites are going to come out on top. All right? Go ahead.
Habakkuk 2, verse 12. Woe to him that buildeth a town with blood and establish a city by iniquity.
And that's America. Mm-hmm. That's America. That's what they did with Rome. That's what they did as Greeks. Hey, that's what they did with the European Union. We were just watching a little clip about Hatui, which was a Cuban. The Cubans are Israelite, and what's his name? Cristobal Colon, which is Christopher Columbus, and how he came in and slaughtered all those indigenous people, right, in the name of Christianity, for what? Gold. See? So you have to answer for all this blood that you've spilt through generations, and that's modern. How much blood have you spilt since the past? You were murdering us during the time of Babylon. You helped the Assyrian Babylonians murder Israelites. See, so you Edomites are fucked, man. Go ahead.
Yep. Habakkuk 2, verse 13. Behold, is it not of the Lord Yahweh of hosts that the people shall labor in the very fire, and the people shall weary themselves for very vanity?
Right. So let's go to Ezekiel 35. Ezekiel. Talking about their destruction. You're done. You Edomites, put a fork in you. You're done.
Ezekiel 35, what'd you say?
You can start at 1.
Okay, verse 1. Ezekiel chapter 35, verse 1, it says, Moreover, the word of the Lord Yahweh came unto me, saying, verse 2, The Son of Man, set thy face against Mount Seir, and prophesize against it. Verse 3.
Now, it got in me to look it up one more time. But so we could point out that, these Edomites are ruling over us. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. advocates a carnivorous diet, often eating a 12-ounce rare cooked ribeye. Rare. Right? Which we were going into that earlier. That these Edomites like bloody meat. Rarely cooked. All right? Just so I get that point, I just wanted to point that out, that these Edomites eat bloody meat. That goes back to their forefather, Esau. All right? So these people are fucked. All right? There's nothing for them. There's no future but slavery. Their kingdom is going to be destroyed by their own invention. The Teman, The Lord gave them the spirit to invent the nuclear missile, starting with their teaming, the German Edomite. You had Oppenheimer, Einstein, which go back to Germany, which are teaming, and they made the nuclear weapon, starting with atomic power. Where? America. And that's where this destruction will take place, here in America. God is not mocked. Whatever you sow, you shall reap. And you murdered across the whole world. It don't matter if it's China. What'd you do in China? The British, the Americans, right? Japan. You dropped atomic bombs on 2 cities in Japan.
Yeah.
Right? Philippines, what'd you do in the Philippines? Australia, what'd you do in Australia? All the way to over here in America, the other side of the world, and everything in between. You murdered for your wealth. You robbed for your wealth. And then you lie about it. You lie and call yourself a good guy. You act like you're an angel of light. But you're the fucking red devil the Bible speaks of. Go ahead.
Con. Ezekiel chapter 35, verse 3, and say unto it, thus saith the Lord Yahweh power, behold, O Mount Seir, I am against thee, and I will stretch out my hand against thee.
So Mount Seir goes back to the capital of the Edomite in the past, which this is Mount Seir representing America. Because now America is their capital. All right? And Mount Seir, if you look up Petra, which is at Mount Seir, let me get the images. Right there. They build their buildings in the same image. That looks like the Washington, D.C. You go to any city in America, that's what it looks like. That's what Rome looked like. That's what Greece looked like. See, everything is pointing at you so-called Caucasians. Whether it's eating bloody meat or these structures that you build. Like Mount Seir. Israelites don't build things like this. The Native American Indians were living in tents. You come over this land and you build Mount Seir. Go ahead.
Con. Let's see. And I will make thee most desolate.
Right, most desolate. This is not desolate. It still exists. You could go over there and visit this right now. So this ain't talking about this, because really the Israelites are going to get Judah is going to get the land of Edom. The land of Edom is going to go to Judah because they stole that land, Gaza, from Judah. Right now, Judah should be in that land. All right, let me grab this real quick. Just a biblical map. Biblical map of the 12 tribes. See, in this map, where Gaza would be, that's Judah's land. See? But who's in that land? Edom. And see, if you look at the bottom, Edom is at the bottom there. And that would be where Mount Seir is. So Judah is going to get not just this land, but also the land of Edom. So they're going to increase. See? So that land is not going to be completely annihilated and forgotten about like America. This is talking about America. Because this land has a future prophecy of a judgment, but it's going to be rebuilt on the back of the Israelites, which we're going to inherit the heathen as slaves. All the other nations are going to be our slaves in this land, Isaiah 14. All right? We're going to own them, and they're going to build us back a kingdom. So this judgment is talking about America, which will be a desert. All right? Go ahead.
Ezekiel chapter 35, verse 4, I will lay thy cities waste, and thou shalt be desolate, and thou shalt know that I am the Lord Yahweh.
Why? Because his prophet told you. The prophets are telling you by the word of Yahweh, Ba'asham Yahushai, Yahweh's going to send Yahushai back with the host of heaven, and your kingdom, America, is going to become a desert after a nuclear fire. It's going to be a lake of fire for a long time, smoke for a long time, and then eventually just be a desert. A memorial of Yahweh's rightful judgment through his son Yahushai against the wicked. And then you're going to be forgotten on top of it. And you know it. The elite know. They know they're going to be forgotten. Wisdom of Solomon too. They know. That's why they're trying to get their last hoorah right now, because they're about to be nothing. Forgotten. You know? As it says, you know, when you see the plane go and eventually it passes, you don't even, you know, you couldn't tell where that plane was.
Right.
Or a cloud, it might be there for a minute and then it's gone.
Yep.
That's how it's going to be for the Edomites. What the fuck is an Edomite? Because you're not going to exist very much longer. And then your kingdom is going to be laid waste by the weapon that the waster invented, this, which is the destroyer, the nuclear weapon. The Edomite is the waster. That's why his name is Esau Aishawa, wasted away. And they invent weapons to mass destruction, nuclear weapons. Go ahead.
Ezekiel chapter 35, verse 5, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred and hast shed the blood of the children, sons of Israel, by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity.
See? Why? Because you fucked with the Israelites. The Lord don't give a fuck about the Iranians. He don't care about the Chinese, the Japanese. He don't care about none of these motherfuckers. He cares about the Israelites. And we've been scattered throughout the world in slavery. And you touched us. You touched our substance. And like I just showed you that video, they're talking about famine. What was it? Rationing. And you're going to ration whose food? The Israelite. Because we have to go to our enemy for the want of all things. We don't have land to grow wheat. In fact, you got certain. I've seen videos of so-called black farmers, and you know they don't get what they need to succeed. Even the water rights, they'll get shut off. Like these Native American Indian reservations, they'll pollute the water so they have no prosperity in that land. Watch that movie, The Brother Named Thunderheart. They were pouring uranium in the water system, poisoning the people. See? Blood Moon. What was that one? Flower Moon.
Yeah.
Flower Moon movie. Search. Let me see. Flower Moon. Which they were acting like they were nice to the natives, but they were really there to steal the land. It's called Killers of the Flower Moon with Leonardo DiCaprio and Robert De Niro. Check it out. This is the same land that you have Black Wall Street. The Native American Indians and the so-called American Negro, which are both Israelite tribes, Judah and Gad, were doing business and they were wealthy. These Native American Indians were wealthy because there was oil in their land. But what they do, they went in there and they snuck in like they were friendly, trying to act like they were here to help. And they stole the land from them.
Yep.
See? And that's why you have even terrorists. You had so-called white men having children with Native American Indian women, with so-called black women. All right? So not every so-called Negro, Latino, and Native American Indian are Israelites. You have terrors. But you also have Israelites that look like this man. This man, I believe this man is an Israelite, Leonardo DiCaprio. All right? Brad Pitt. I'll show you this. This is how you know. Brad Pitt wearing a dress. Right there. You see that? That's Brad Pitt in a dress. Why do they make him wear a dress? Because he's an Israelite. They're trying to defile the Israelites. Now, George Clooney in a dress, you're not going to see it because he's an Edomite. They don't try to defile the Edomites because they're already defiled. What's the benefit? See, you put up that, you don't see him wearing a dress. Why? Because Esau doesn't have to wear a dress like that. It's the Israelites. Even Dave Chappelle said that. When he ran to Africa, he was upset because they were trying to make him wear a dress. Look, Dave Chappelle told to wear a dress. See, Dave Chappelle was asked to wear a dress. Why? Because it defiles them. You're not supposed to wear women's clothing. See? But look, one more. Tom Hanks. You ain't going to see Tom Hanks in a dress because he's an Edomite. Tom Hanks in a dress. Let's see. No, I could be wrong. Look, they got one with him. So he might be an Israelite. Tom Hanks. You know, but you got to remember, these Edomites like to wear dresses anyway, too, though. You got to remember that, too. Like, governor of New York in a dress. What was his name? Giuliani.
Oh, yeah.
Giuliani in a dress. Right there. This is Giuliani, the governor of New York. Let me get it where he's kissing Trump. Right there. That's the mayor of New York, Giuliani and Nero. And they kiss. All right. There it is right there. See, that's Trump kissing a man's neck, dressed as a transformer. See? But they put Israelites in dresses, but you got to remember the so-called white man likes to wear a dress too. But the Israelites have salt. All right? We're able to, like the Israelites, they're able to sing a song that will move a crowd. All right? The so-called white race, you can't see a Rothschild doing that. You can't see an Edomite having the power over men to where they're able to put out a so-called fashion that would impress a world. Israel could do that. Israel does that. That's why we have salt. We have power with Yahweh through Yahweh Shai, and we have power through Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai with man. That's why our name is Princes of the Power. All right? Because we have power in heaven and on earth. All right? But the Edomite, the so-called white race, they like to defile the Israelite. That's why it said in the, what was it before? Lamentations 4, how has the Israelites become dim? The sons of Zion. How did you become so fucked up? Where you're wearing dresses now and shit like that. See? Because of the Edomite, the so-called white man. Starting with their Nero 47. I just showed you a video of him kissing another man. That's sodomy. This is the spirit of Sodom in America. That's why America is going to be destroyed like Sodom and Gomorrah. And Russia, Putin said it. He has said America is like Sodom and Gomorrah. Which it's in his heart by Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai to use those missiles like Satan 2s to turn this place into a lake of fire. Oh, Kim Jong-un. He just said it. It was funny to hear him say it. Because I think they added, to make fun of him. But he said, those Americans, they like to dress like women. It was funny the way they made it. But he was speaking. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. Because it's knowing that the American white man, they're weirdos.
Yep.
North Korean president talks about the homosexual activity in America. Yeah, right there. It says North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has expressed concern over the way America and the West, talking about the European Union, let me see. It says it's called a gay speech. Let me see if I could just get the video. Copyright Act, Section 107. This is for edification.
Make sure all the school teaching the children how to be a homosexual, and make sure they all teach about the transgender. So that is what important to me. And make sure all the school teaching the children how to be a homosexual, and make sure they all teach about the transgender. So that is what important.
Why? Because all the way up to the king. Nero 47, homosexual activity and transgender. America, Sodom and Gomorrah. What happened to Sodom and Gomorrah, which is an example for them that shall live ungodly? It was destroyed by fire from heaven, which now those elements are put in those nuclear weapons, like Satan IIs, which could hold up to 24 nuclear warheads. Right? And what they say, they gave him thousands of them.
Yeah.
See? And really, there's millions of them. They're not telling you, which they openly say, don't tell your enemy what you got in war. But really, the biblical prophecy is there's millions that are going to devour the flesh of America. All right? Go ahead.
Yeah, Ezekiel 35, continue on, verse 5. In the time that their iniquity had an end.
It had an end. Now it's the end. Why? Because we're repenting. So Yahweh's putting us to repentance, but now it's Esau's judgment. Remember, we got judged. We had to go into slavery. We had to suffer. And we're the chosen people. How much you that he hates. See, he's going to put you to punishment. And you don't have to believe. You don't even have to understand. It's going to happen. It's happening right now. As we read through, we're showing you the scriptures and the actual receipts of this being true. There's nothing you could do against the truth. Every move you make, it's for the truth. You come down with great wrath, hey, it's for the truth. You see, you persecute the prophets, it's for the truth. There's nothing you could do, Esau. You can't squirm your way out of this. You can't even buy your way out of this. You know, back in the day, you might have had a little power with your money, but now your money's shit. The Russians, they don't want your money. Fuck your money. They're better off without your money. And then you're going digital, so who the fuck gives a fuck about your money? See? So Esau's end is that it's here. It's at the door. And just as our end, all right, the end of our iniquity, it's at the door too. We're about to be liberated completely, even out of these sinful bodies. We're about to have new bodies that don't sin, so we won't die. Right now we die, but we won't die. And hey, some brothers, they can't even die because the Lord already said, all right, there's some of us that shall not even taste of death. All right? Good.
Ezekiel chapter 35, verse 6. Therefore, as I live, saith the Lord Yahweh power, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee. Sith thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee.
See? So that's why the Lord wants your blood. Because you spilt blood all over the world, especially Israelite blood. So then now your blood has to be spilled. The only way that you could pay back, you could drop that. We'll go ahead and close up. The point being made.
Okay.
To cleanse the blood that's been spilt, the blood must be spilt. KJV. It's a commandment. In Numbers 35:33, it says, so ye shall not pollute the land wherein ye are, for blood it defileth the land, and the land cannot be cleansed of the blood that is shed therein, but by the blood of him that shed it. So Esau's blood has to be spilt. And it's going to be Yahweh Ba'asham, Yahweh Shai that does this. All right? He's going to spill the Edomites' blood, and then eventually they're going to be made extinct after 1,000 years of slavery, because they have to pay back what they've done unto us in slavery. All right? Which we got that at the beginning. I'll get it again. Is that Revelation 13 and 9. It says, if any man have an ear, let him hear, which all men have ears. But it's talking about understanding what you hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. So we're waiting, and we're going to be persecuted for our faith, right? But our faith is in the word of Yahweh being true, that Yahweh Shai will come back and deliver us from that persecution, which they're trying to persecute us unto death. All right? And Yahweh is going to give us, through Yahweh Shai, the heathen, and they're going to be our slaves, because we're the saints. We're the Israelites that have been sanctified by the blood of Yahweh Shai, which we remember through the Word and the Holy Spirit. You got one?
I got Isaiah 24, verse 5, and it reads, let me go up to, this is the KJV, reads, the earth also is defiled under the inhabitants thereof, because they have transgressed the laws, changed the ordinance, broken the everlasting covenant.
There you go. They've done it. They put counterfeits in our land. Hey, Donald Trump made his own Bible. There was many presidents that did this. Let me get it. Donald Trump Bible. Look. That's right there. Look at that. He's all happy with pride with a Donald Trump Bible. Adding and taking away. Jackson Bible. Let me put Andrew Jackson rewrote the Bible. No, not Andrew Jackson. Thomas Jefferson. Let me pull that up. Thomas Jefferson Bible. Right there. Look at that. Jefferson Bible. It's called a Jefferson Bible. See it? And you can still see this thing. They got it on display, I believe, up there in Washington, D.C. Let's see. Present location, Smithsonian National Museum of American History. So this is America's history. That the so-called white man is the devil the Bible speaks of. That's why they rewrite the Bibles. But they use the Bible also to murder, to steal, to cheat. See, which is blasphemy. This devil, he's running on limited time, man. He's at his end. But with that, we go. You got any more?
No.
All right. With that, we give all praise and glory to Yahweh, Ba'asham, Yahweh Shai, Ba'asham, Ha, Rakah, Kodash. Double honors to our apostle elders, which rule Great Millstone Wow, and shalom to the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel. Wa Abba Babal.
Shalom to the elect.
Shalom to the elect.